Next, let us talk about cost of software. Just now we said that software took its launch in the mid-80s, but for hardware, however, it has been under very rapid change or rapid development since the 70s. It is like 15 years before the software explosion. And this explosion or development of hardware follows what we call Moore's law, that the explosion of hardware made it to become cheaper and cheaper due to mass production. And because of this so-called Moore's law, every 18 months or 1.5 years, the performance of hardware will double while the cost become half. So basically, the money value for hardware quadruple every 1.5 years. You can find this graph from Wikipedia for you to understand how the performance over here in y-axis, the performance actually goes up over the course of only a few years in the x-axis. However, software development does not follow Moore's law. Software, on the other hand, has to always follow what the hardware can offer. So because of that, the development of software has almost an opposite effect of what we find in hardware trend. It is opposite. The reason is because after 18 months, when the hardware changed significantly, software is still at research and development to follow what the hardware can give 18 months ago. The research or development of software is really extremely hard because, as we said just now, it has to follow hardware. Because hardware always change, then the research has to change also. And before it even finish the research on what happened 18 months ago, hardware already changed, and it is kind of the software has to start from scratch again. Not only that, it's also because of the ever changing requirement of a software. Customers always demand new requirements, and not only because of the customer, the programmers themselves do develop new techniques to create software, and because of that, not only research on the problem domain to solve the problem, but the learning curve to learn new development environment because of the programmers initiative also contribute to the difficulty in software research and development itself. And not only these three things, as you learn programming in this course, you will find that program will have bugs or errors, and it is really impossible to wipe out all these bugs and errors, unlike hardware, which can be tested and simulated a lot easier. Software will always carry bugs and errors, and because of that, the research also will be dragged back because of the errors that it carries forward from version to version. We can view the change in software cost over the course of 45 years, according to this graph. Somewhere in 1955, if you have a fully working computing system, only around 10% is the cost of software. 90% will be the of hardware. But by the early of this millennium, when you have a fully working computing system, now 90% of the cost of that computing system is actually due to software costs. Then, because the cost of software is really high, this gives some idea about the cost of programmer itself. So let us look at software jobs prospect. Because research work is really hard in programming, the cost of a programmer is really high. the pay and prospect of programming job are really good, especially in Malaysia, where the interest and the talent of writing code is quite low. So because of that reason, there are so many multinational software companies in Malaysia are still hiring expatriate foreigners because not many locals are interested with a job even though the offer is so high. So this is to tell you that even though you graduate with engineering degree, even with a civil or mechanical engineering degree, if you really have interest in programming, you can learn programming on your own and you can still get hired in a software company.